Stam L'chaim tonight. You have to do something bigger.
Like
No, so I told the guy, Aaron, you're too late, man.
Like a l'chaim out of a can of Moscato.
Yeah, Shine. Here's the real man of Tully Landau's back on this year.
Of course, because it's only an Umba tonight.
I'm here every day, you jerks.
He came just to drink. He came just to drink.
Let me tell you something. You guys complain I'm never here, but you really want me here every day?
Nobody ever complained you're not here.
Nobody
ever complained you're not here, Landau.
Which is
Landau,
I'm here
what
every
happened
day.
to
Right?
What
Look
happened
at the
to-
tapes. Look at the tapes. I'm here every day.
What happened at 10 o'clock, Daf Yomi, Landau? What
Check
happened
the
at
tapes, she
9:45?
says. I
Yeah,
love it.
10.
Check the tapes.
9:45, that was early. 10 was when we started. Bunch of pansies.
That's it. No, that's the end of the fighting. All right.
Tzvi, what's shot on someone allowing a dishwasher like plastic and all that stuff to be kosher?
Plastic's the least of the issues. Plastic's the least of the issues.
What, like gaskets and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, no. Those are more of a problem. The OU has a way to do it. You put a hot
Yeah, what do you
stone
think?
in
The
there.
hotels that have the big dishwashers, they
Oh,
cost.
hello. There's a difference between the commercial dishwashers and the chazarai you put.
There's
your-
plastic and gaskets and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Landau
do
knows.
say-
He was the Mashgiach at hotel programs, Pesach.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat there if you paid me. No, when it's not Pesach.
They say that the dishwashers, Ramosha said you can kosher, but you need to get new grates.
What's new grades? What does that mean?
New racks.
New racks. I mean, thank you. New racks. They say that he meant only commercial. He meant only the commercial dishwasher, not our dishwashers. That's what some say.
No, Tiago, remember you told me to ask Rabbi Gansweig this one time, and he said that Ramesha held it on residential ones.
Yeah, okay, because I think Reb David Feinstein had said not like that.
Doesn't get hotter.
Wait, so can I?
I won't
kosher-
argue, but
I have to buy.
But I
have to
know, I don't
buy a
know.
new
I have
one.
no idea if that's.
you told me one time to ask him, and I asked him, and he said the Rosh Yeshiva held it as long as it's whatever stainless steel inside, you can kosher it. You just have to get new racks.
Right. Okay. So new racks is almost the same price as new dishwasher, from what I understand, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So like, there's no theoretical way to kosher it then.
There is. The OU has a way. Go on their website. They have a whole thing. They have a whole thing. You put a hot stone in there, then you turn it on, then you do another thing. They have a.
You gotta get the temperature higher than it ever goes.
Right.
But Simon, you gotta wait 10 minutes because right now is a share for the wives of the Daf.
Then you gotta use triple cloth method.
Maybe you already started drinking too quickly there, Terrence.
No, there really is. I'm telling you.
Okay.
I got an email from the Agudo.
Right. Yeah. They're doing
That's
something
not the
for
same
wives.
one. It's the Agudo's not the OU. I'm sorry. The Agudo. Sorry.
Parents behave.
Needed something cool.
All right.
Okay.
It's downstairs. I know
Let's
we
go.
couldn't find it, but I know it's.
All right. Talk to Mishna. Yeah. Yeah, on the bottom of Lamed Tes on the base. So Misha, you peiroisa be'ir acheres, be'ir v'bnei oseir, lavi etzem peiroisa, lo yaviula. So somebody has. So we've been saying the last few blocks is that wherever you could walk, that's where your belongings can go. I mean, if you could walk 2,000 amas to the north or whatever it is, then your belongings can go 2,000 amas. That's it. So what happens if you have another city that's 4,000 amas away from you, and your fruit is in the other city? So they're going to bring it to you. So you're allowed to do that. So the Mishnah says, no, you can't. So that city made an Eruv, but they made it for themselves to come to you. The guy in this city didn't. So they can't bring it because his belongings belong to him and he's not part of this Erev Tchum. The Erev who, then Peirosav Kamayo. But if he made the Erev, right, then his fruits go with wherever his Erev could go. So if his Erev extends his Tchum by 2,000 amos or whatever amount of amos, then he can continue going that way. And his belongings go that way. On top of Aleph, Misha Ziman Etzloi Orchim. If somebody invites guests, right, from a different city, and they're coming to him, so they're not allowed to take leftovers. It's a good Mishna to know if you don't want your guests to take any leftovers. So lo yalichu biyadam manos. They're not allowed to take any portions with them. Why? Because if they're going back to their city, that's out of your tchum, meaning they made an eruv tchum to come to you, right? Then you made the eruv. Then they want to take home some of your leftovers. They're not allowed to, because your leftovers can only go as far as you can go, and they're going further than that. So Ela Im Kain, what are you going to do? What you could do is you can take the food on Erev Yom Tiv and be zoiche in it for them, and that would be allowed. Meaning, how you zoiche in it for them? So you go to your neighbor and you say, I have to be makna this food to my guests. So what you do is you ask the neighbor to represent the guests. They pick up the food. Now they were kind of the food on behalf of the guests, and now the food becomes the guests, and then the tchum goes with the guests, not with you, and then they can carry the food home.
That's what the shuls do with bar mitzvah boys' gifts.
Well, for Shabbos.
Yeah, like the rabbi standing up there wants to present the kid with the siddur and the this and that.
You want to give a gift on Shabbos.
No, only if it's
You
going to
can
be
use
used
it.
on Shabbos.
Use it
Only
on
if it's going to be
Shabbos.
used on Shabbos. Right, but if not, the shtick that they do is they're makne it to everybody before Shabbos. Right, that's a shtick that you could do. Another time that you do this type of shtick is it's a whole issue. If you're giving like for Mishleach Manas, if you're giving something on a glass, so who titles it? So it's a whole diyun in the poskim, who titles it. So the way out of it is you're makne it to somebody else before Purim on behalf of all the recipients, and then you title it. And then everything, and then it's okay. Yeah. So those are the times that you use this type to be maknet for somebody else.
Why
Fine.
is the case that Rashi gives here not a problem of Hachana?
What do you mean? Which Rashi?
He's giving it lo yelichu la'achar suda manas biyadam lebeisam l'sudas alayla.
Oh, you mean that Rashi? You mean why is it? You mean why
What's
is
the
that not
food for? Just in general, they just ate. They're not eating now. They're eating later. That's for the next suda.
Right. So why? I mean, Rashi says l'sudas halayla.
Yeah.
I don't know, Taka. I mean, there is a chayyadim that would be materit, but I don't know if it's I don't know if there is a chayyadim that says that as long as it's not nicker and it's normal for people to see that you're carrying food and it's not nicker, that it's for the night, and there is a possibility you end up eating before the night, then that's not achana.
What does Rashi mean? What does Rashi mean?
I don't know. It's that's what Gerson's
Oh,
asking.
just touch it straight. What does it mean?
What? La'achar suda. After the suda, they bring home their manas, their food biyadam lebeisam l'sudas halayla for the night suda.
Yeah. So what's Gershon's shaila?
He's saying, how can you bring it home for the night suda? It's achana. Right?
Achana is whether you're cooking it or anything else. What are the parameters of achana? The isra of achana.
That's what he's asking. That's what Gerson's
Well, I'm
asking.
asking. You're not preparing anything. You're just bringing it.
Usually it's doing anything for the following day.
Who said you're doing it for the following day? Maybe you're doing it for that night.
Right, but
Rashi.
that's
That is the following day.
That night's the
considered
following day.
The
Had somebody
isra
come
of
for
achana
lunch
includes
first
just carrying
day.
stuff.
You had somebody come
Yes.
for lunch first day Yom Tif, and you give them something to take home that they're going to eat the second night. That's the next day.
Yeah, Akiva, Hachana has nothing to do with Melacha. Hachana could be anything you do today. For tonight is not allowed. So I'm telling you, there is this Chayodam that holds that this type of thing would be okay because it's not nicker and you do it early enough in the day. And if it's a sort of mitzvah and he allows it. So I don't think that, I think the kasha is better than the teretz I'm saying, but Lamaisa, I hear you. It's a good order. It's a good order.
One more small order. How on earth does someone know what leftovers they're gonna have on Erev Yom Tov?
Yeah, right. So I was wondering that. So I think what he does is he just
It's
marks
not, but
everything.
who said it's leftovers?
I mean, it's a different mana. It's a different.
Yeah, you invited somebody for lunch, and you want to give him. He can't come to you for night, so you're giving him another different food for night. That's all. It's not love dafka leftovers.
Fair enough.
So
Fair
maybe
enough.
that's Pshat and Rashi. Maybe that's Pshat and Rashi. You didn't prepare. It's not that he prepared for them that day. That was already prepared Erev Yom Tov for that the next night.
No, but
Yeah, but
taking
still
it
the
home is
carrying.
a chana.
Carrying is
What?
the issue. The carrying it home is the issue. Right? That would be an issue of yeah. It's a sharatzian. I think sharatzian brings it in Hilchas Sukkah. Yeah. Yeah, so that's I hear. Okay, let's see weiter. So Idmar hamafkid peres etzel chaveiro. So somebody who is puts his peres by his friend to watch them. So now whose techum does it go with? So I give my peres to you to watch over Yom Tov. So are they my peres and it goes with where I can walk, or is it considered the one who's watching its peres and it goes where he can walk? So
What should be the difference from Baba Kama?
Why shouldn't it be different?
Yeah, why should it be different?
So that Gemara is gonna say that. Well, it's not. The Gemara doesn't go with that case, but it seems like it's. Let's see. Yeah. So Rav Amar Kiragli Mishif Giduloi. Rav says it goes with the feet of the person who's watching it, because he's in charge and he's achrayis. So since it's his achrayis, right, he's responsible for these fruits. So therefore, it can go as far as his legs can take him. Shmuel Amar Karagli Amafkid. Shmuel says no, it goes with the owner of the Paris who gave it over to watch. That's a Machlokes Rav and Shmuel. So the rest of the Amid came out. Till the next Mishna discusses this Machlokes Rav and Shmuel. So Lema Rav and Shmuel does the Tamayu. Let's say Rav and Shmuel are going with what they hold the Tanan. Im Hichnis Bereshus. I don't know if this is exactly the case you're referring. It's not really Gershon, but it's okay. Im Hichnis Bereshus. Let's say you ask somebody to bring your stuff into his property. So does that mean that he's taking responsibility for your stuff? When you ask your friend, do you mind if I could leave my horse in your property? Or do you mind if I leave some utensils in the property? Does that mean that when the guy agrees to let you bring the stuff in, does that mean he's taking responsibility for it too? So in Hichnes Bereshus, Balachotzer Chayiv. So Tanakama holds on the Balachotzer is Chayiv if something happens to it, because by him allowing you to put your stuff in, he is Mekabel Achrayis. Rebbe Yomer Lo'ilam Ein Chayiv Achi Yikabel Balabayis Lishma. He's not Chayiv until the Balabayis is Mekabel on himself to Shmira. As long as he doesn't say that he's taking responsibility, then it's not his responsibility. So 1 second. So Rav says that Allah is like Chachamim. Shmuel Amar Allah Karebi, and Shmuel says that Allah is like Rebbe. So Lema Rav to Amar Karabanan, Shmuel to Amar Karebi. So Rav is saying like the Rabbanan, and Shmuel is saying like Rebbe. Right? So Rav is saying like the Rabbanan, because it goes with he goes with the Tanakama, right? The Rabbanan or the Tanakama, it's interchangeable, right? And that's why Rav says that it goes with the one who was watching it, because he's responsible. According to Rav, if he lets the guy put his stuff into his property, he's responsible. So if that's the case, the techum goes with him, and Shmuel says the opposite. Right? So that's what the Gemara wants to say. The case in Bava Kama is the same thing as the case here. What are you saying, Rabban?
So I'm saying, according to Rebbe, so if you put the shul is not responsible, everybody takes off their coat and puts it in the coat room, because the Rav didn't tell everybody you could do it. The shamus didn't tell everybody you could do it. You do it. You come in from outside and you put it in. The other mandam, they'd be chayiv in the achrayus for the coach because they let you come into the building with your coat. The Rebbe would say you're not chayiv in the achrayus.
What do you mean? But there's a little something different about a shul, no?
What's the difference?
I'm saying a shul is considered really a public property. I don't know if the Rav is achroi on the coat room in the shul.
So whoever owns the shul, the board of directors, whoever
No
owns
one
the shul.
does. No one owns a shul. It's considered a public property.
What is that? I heard.
regards.
Rabbi, what does that mean? It's a public property.
Versus-
What does that
Meaning,
mean?
let's say you find money in a shul. Who does it go to?
I don't know what you're saying. It's a public property. I don't know what that means.
Meaning, if you
don't
find money
understand.
in a shul, if you find money in a shul, does the rabbi get to keep it?
I don't know.
Don't ask the rabbi. So here's a different rabbi, right? Can the rabbi keep it? Right? So the answer is no, it's not. Meaning, let's say you find money in your property. If you have a fence. So there's money on your porch, let's say. So you get to keep it. Your chutz is
Right.
your house. But if
Right.
if your house would be a shul, right? Then that's considered a public property. It's not. You're not cutting it. Like Kaplan,
Excuse me, Rav Yaakov, I hate to. I don't understand what you mean. It's public property. I mamish don't know what you mean. I have no idea what that means.
If someone gets injured in a shul, it's like a barber
Everybody in
just around.
Barakaway owns the white shul. What do you mean it's public property?
In that
It's
aspect,
part of a klal. You're part of a klal. You're part of a kahil. It's
Who
all
is?
together. The people that daven in the shul, the people that are part of the
Davener
shul.
who pay dues, or the people who signed the papers for the city. Somebody owns it. Otherwise, let me go put my
On behalf of the
take over whole
congregation. That's
building.
why they get tax off, because
So
it's part of the
we'll take my house,
congregation.
we'll take over the building. No, it's
The
public property.
entity,
Rav Aaron, that's exactly what happened in Inwood.
I don't know what happened in Inwood. I don't know.
what are you talking about, parents?
There was a shul, and it was part of the face, the whatever, and a couple of guys.
Oh,
walked
that
in.
shul.
Oh, we want it. Now, too bad. You get out. The guy refurbished the whole thing, and they threw him out.
The bigger case is what happened with Chabad. I'm saying Chabad was the biggest proof that it's a public property. With the Svarim of the Rebbe, in the court cases, they ruled that it's public property. It was public property. It wasn't. It didn't belong to the children, even though they held it was theirs personally. The courts ruled that it's public property, and the children couldn't keep it.
Right, that was the whole Ditan Natzach, right?
Yeah, it's a famous case, but it's true with almost every non-for-profit. You can't see
I know it's a famous case. I'm just trying to so far 7 people, including Siak, used the word it's public property. I don't know what that means.
Meaning it's not
Kahila. I guess look at what Kahila means.
Rabbi, if that's the case, we can go back into the Young Israel.
I said that's what I said.
Now you're talking. Now you're talking. Why not, Taka?
Jacob, according to this, you can go. Jill can go fly a kite.
No, but I mean saying in the point that it's not considered a shmira to leave your stuff there. It's public, meaning if I go to a guy and by a bus stop and say to him, you mind if I leave my stuff over here? The guy looks at you, okay, yeah, leave your stuff here. What does that have to do with me? Right? And the guy decides to get on the bus. You can't hold him responsible if he didn't say that he accepts achrayas. Right? It just says, yeah, I'll watch it. Right? It doesn't mean he's gonna stay there for the whole day.
They're allowed to do a hefker, like they'll say next Monday.
Oh, now you're at that right now. Totally. Now you're talking that now. Where did the shuls get this right to say that everything becomes hefker after 30 days, and then it's for sale, and they're selling it, and they're making more? Where does that come from?
Right, because it's public.
Right, it's no. So the whole thing is very unclear.
No, but it'd be the opposite, Naftali. That would be the opposite. The board of the yeshiva is selling your stuff.
Right.
It's not public. For carrot, it's not public. They told you have to take your farm out every week.
Correct.
It's not public.
The board of the yeshiva has no idea that they're selling the stuff.
Whoever it is.
The guy that's sick of cleaning it up.
No, that's why it's shver. That's why you're right. Anachanami. That's why it's shver. That is why that's shver. Okay, whatever it is.
Jacob, what's the deciding factor, public and not?
Benegeya to shuls or benegeya to?
If you're outside in a tent, it's not public.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know how you define it. Exactly how it's defined, I don't know. But when it's
Okay, fine. Thank you.
if there's no owner to it, like your house, I don't care. Nobody's gonna say that you're gonna come and move into your tent and say, hey, it's a public property.
What are you talking about?
Oh, watch out. Darche is going to be building over there soon, Aaron. You better watch out.
As long as they deliver some trailers one day, I'm okay with it,
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, so that's
Aaron, I don't know if flying a kite is Chil Shabbos, so I'm not sure if that's a good tushtel.
Very good, parents. Very good.
But what? Can't put nothing past your cousin over there.
Okay. Anyway, so we're saying that the Machlokes of Rav and Shmuel by techum is the same Machlokes as the Rabbanan and Rebbe in Bava Kama. Samalach Rav. So Rav said, "I'm not Amri Afilu Rebbe." No, Rav says I could even go like Rebbe, because why? Ad kan loy kama Rebbe Hassam by Bava Kama El de Mistama loy Kibbul loy Nitirusa. Nobody's making. If somebody is asking you to keep stuff in your property, you're not all of a sudden taking responsibility for it. That's what Rebbe's saying. So if he didn't say anything, he's not mimakav. Here by the fruit or the food, whatever it is on Yom Tov that he was makabel achrayis, right? So therefore, Rebbe would say that it goes with his techum. Shmuel Amar, Shmuel says I could even go according to Rabbanon. I'd kind of like Rabbanon Hassam by putting it in the yard above a kama. It is a person is happy to leave his shar in the reshus of a bal chotzer, right? Because if his shar that he left in this person's reshus damages it, he's not going to be chayiv. Meaning it's worth it for him to give it to this guy, and the guy says, "Can I keep my shar?" A says to B, "Can I keep my shar in your reshus?" B says, "Sure, you can keep it in the reshus." So then A is not going to be liable for B for his shar doing damage in B's yard, because B said, "No problem, put it in there." So he's very happy with that, right? Here, if your fruits are by you gave your fruits over to your friend to watch it, and then it turns Yom Tov. You're happy with your fruits being by your friend. Now you're not going to have access to your fruits, so of course you're not happy with that. So therefore, maybe the Rabbanan would say that that the techum does not go with the one watching it; it goes with the one who owns it. Okay, so that's a Machlokes Rav and Shmuel. So Tanan, they're going to ask a bunch of kashas on Tanan v'ma'irev hu peiraisov kamayu. If he made an erev, right? That's our Mishna. If they made an erev from one city to the other, then his fruit goes with him, meaning the fruit goes with the owner. But if you say that the fruit only goes with the one who's watching the fruit, when the owner makes an erev, my havi, what's going to help? Meaning, what was our case? You had two cities, right? Let's say you had Farakwe and you had Bell Harbor. Right, so I own the fruit. I'm the owner of the fruit, and in Farakwe, and it's in Bell Harbor. So the Mishnah is saying that if I make an erev to Bell Harbor, then the people in Bell Harbor can bring the fruits when they walk over here. Right? Now, who's watching the fruits? The people in Bell Harbor. So if according to Rav, who says that the fruits go with the erev of the person watching it, so what does it help if I make an erev? The people in Bell Harbor have to make the erev. Right? So you see clearly not like Rav. Some Ravuna Amr Rav like Aaron Zavis. It's talking about where they made a specific corner in the house for his fruit. So since they made a specific corner in the house for his fruit, that fruit still belongs to me. Right? My fruit in Bell Harbor, they made a little corner of the house and they set it aside, and that's considered my corner. So therefore the fruit is still considered under my jurisdiction, and therefore it can come, which is exactly what we do with mechiras chametz. Because when we sell the chametz to the guy, you're not allowed to have a guy's chametz in your reshus, right? So it's very nice you sold your chametz to the guy, but why you how it's under your achrayus. You're watching a guy's chametz in your house, so that's a problem. That's why you have to put all the chametz in a way, and you have to write down that the chametz it's not only the chametz being sold to the guy, it's that corner of the room or the cabinet or the closet, whatever it is that you're selling, also goes to the guy. Like this is considered it's still in his rishus. What are you saying?
We don't write that in the shtar.
We do write it in the shtar, sure. Yeah. That's what the thing that nobody reads. That's one of the things that it says there.
How is that not seen as like Baba Mises?
I hear that you see that the Gemara does it here. It's also the same thing here in this.
But I'm saying like practically there's nothing has changed. You theoretically sold part ownership of your house, like 1/76 of your house, to a guy to keep the chametz that you sold to him. How is that like a legal?
Donovan, there's a Rav in Muncie. I don't remember who it is, but supposedly he takes one person every year with the guy and goes in and takes the chametz.
They had that in the
They
did
that here in Far Rockaway.
My finder went around, so
does it every year here. Finder.
I think it's more for the picture.
Listen, they have to pay for it. They have to pay that. You can't just take it. The guy has to pay for the chametz.
That's already talking about pratim. The whole concept of having, selling something that's impossible for them to take. You're selling a quart. Like I said,
You ever heard of pitting on bed?
Can we give you away?
Naftali, not a good one. Not a good one.
No, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And we're talking about whether you're being over a mitzvah deraisa or derabbanan and all these different things. Like, how are we getting around this?
Yeah, because here we're saying that as long as you're meyached a corner you can
Good,
rent
but you
out
just
a
said
corner
that you cannot have a guy in your house on Pesach. Yeah.
Right. So that's why you give him the corner.
With their stuff, no, okay, good. So you willed the guy a corner. He could still take the chametz and go all over the house. He has to walk through the house to chayra, right? So he's going
true.
Right. So like unless you're making a whole doorway into the guy's closet, basically. How is this happening? Like, what are we doing?
No, because that's one of the things you have to provide him with access.
You have to provide him with access.
Yes. You have to provide him with access to his corner of the house that you rented to him.
So that how is literally anything that we try to sell them, right? Especially like in my case where I sell through you, but I'm in the Midwest. How is it possible he's going to come fly over here and take my hot dog buns?
Doesn't make a difference. He can theoretically have to. He can theoretically do it if he wants to. It's up to him. It's up to him. Right? A lot of people own businesses that are out of town. Right? Or they're silent partners or whatever it is.
Hey, you're technically allowed to mail it to him. It's his chametz.
Jacob, if the guy was smart, he would empty out the gourmet lot warehouses on Chol Hamoed. They wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah, but he has to pay for it.
Oh.
He has to. He's not getting it for free. He has to pay for it. He has to pay. He doesn't pay right then and there. But when we come to him, what's it pay? So I say, okay, buddy, pay up. And
don't you make a kinyan with him?
Yes. Yeah, so he buys it. It's his chametz, but then after Pesach, he has to pay for it. You have to let him have it. Gourmet Glatt would have to let him take and they're taking the risk that he won't be able to pay it. Yes. But the bottom line is he does have to pay for it. He gets a discount. He gets to minimize Simon, to minimize the harama of it. He does get a discount. Otherwise, why would he do this?
This whole thing sounds like just...
It is a harama. It is. But it's for the Durabanan. It's not a Derais. It's not a Derais. Okay.
Rav Zevin has a very nice sefer, and the sefer is Modim Balacha, and it's also in English at the Young Israel. In any event, he goes over the whole historical and halachic basis of
he has Reb Zevin. Yeah, Reb Zevin has
very beautiful chapter if you want to read it.
Yeah, it's very good. But anyways, but the point is that you see that there's precedence in halacha to give somebody a corner, and that corner becomes his. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. The first wide line.
For any of you who don't walk into the Young Israel of Far Rockaway, I have that sefer in my house. And anybody is good, I'll gladly lend it to you.
You taka have it about? I would like to.
Yeah, so you don't have to go into the Young Israel. Yes.
Are you the one who took it from the Young Israel?
No, it's my sefer, Habibi.
I'm putting in a reservation for after Purim, if you don't mind.
Okay,
Me
fine.
too. I want to read it.
It's
Yeah.
mamish very
Okay.
good. That shtickle that the doctor said is very good and very nice.
I think he was the author of Encyclopedia Talmudith as well.
Yes, he was. Yes.
Very good. Okay, good. So Tashima,
Truly
the first
great
white
man.
line. Yeah. So Misha Zimin Etzai Archim. So if somebody has Archim, lo yilichu biyadam money. So at the end of the Mishnah, your Archim come, you can't send food home with them. Elam kin zachalem and mezanes manasayim erev yontav, unless you're mezaka with them the food from erev yontav. So vi amar karagli mishav kido etzloi. Again, the same kasha. If we say that whoever's watching the food is the one that gets the techum, ki zachalem aidei achar mayavi, who cares? So it's very nice that before Yom Tov you give over the food through somebody else to your guests. But who's watching the food? You. So according to Rav, that goes with your techum. So you're going around in circles. What does it help? According to Rav, the one who's watching the food, that's as far as it could go. It's very nice that you were marketing the food to somebody else on your guest's behalf, but who cares? It's not going to help. So my answer is again, since he was mezaketem through somebody else, it's like he was miyachan with Karen Zavis. That's one teretz. Same as Zocha Shani. If you're Zoicha in it for somebody else, that shows that you really don't care to have that food. Meaning, if an Erev Yom Tov, I take my my brownies, and I'm mezaket for my guests to walk home with their brownies. So that means when I'm being mezaket, that means I'm giving up total das of me having any sort of control over this food. And therefore it goes to the guests, and the techum is going to go with the guests. Again, this, as we keep seeing the last couple of lot, that it's all totally in what was the das of who's going to be in control of this food before Yom Tov. Whoever we think is in control of the food and before Yom Tov is the one that it's the techum goes to. So when you're being mezakeh to somebody on Erev Yom Tov, that shows that you clearly don't plan on keeping these brownies or any of this food by you, and it goes to him. And it goes to the guests. Fine. So Rav Chana Bar Chanilai, then we have a
Yaakov, does that mean, according to the second teretz of the Gemara, if let's say this food got destroyed, is he chayiv on that? Or even according to the first teretz, but really the second teretz, because the first teretz seems to be saying that he has no achrayas on it. But according to the second teretz, where it's not saying that, is he, if the food gets destroyed, is by, let's say, I don't know, that a shomer normally would be chayiv, and is he mechayiv according to the second teretz?
Well, the thing is, you mean they can come taina to him. You're saying they can come, the guests can come taina to him and say, hey.
Yeah, I'm saying according to the first teretz, no, because he's miyachal to them at Karen Zavis. But according to the second teretz, they're not really saying that. Seems like he's not being a shomer, but at the same time, he's not putting it in their rishos. So, like, where is it? It seems like it's in limbo a little bit.
I hear. That's a good point, right? L'chara, they can come taina. Hey, you don't want to send home leftovers with us? You were mizaka us in the leftovers. It's ours. And it got damaged. Right? Yeah, I hear that. It's okay. So let's see. Rav Chana Bar Chanilai Tala Bisra Ba'avra Dadash. So Rav Chana Bar Chanilai hung meat in the doorway of his hotel. Yeah, before Yom Tov. So Asala Kamei Rav Huna. He came in front of Rav Huna. Amarlei, meaning he said, like, can I take the meat? Can I not take the meat? Right, whose techum does it get? Again, he hung up meat in the doorway, right, to make dried meat. Yeah. So Rav Huna, Amarlei iat talis zil shakil. If you're the one that hung the meat, then you could take it. V'inu talulach laisishko. But if they, meaning the hotel, hung it for you, then you're not allowed to take it. Yeah. So now what's going on here? So when I ask you'll tell him shakel, and if he hung it up, is he allowed to take it? Meaning the assumption is if he hung it up there, that's his das, and the meat goes with his feet for techum, right? And if the hotel hung it up, so then it goes with them. So you tell him shakel, can he take it? But Rav Huna Talmud the Rav Hava. Rav Huna was Rav's Talmud. Rav kiragli mishav kidu etzloi. It goes with the feet of the person who was watching it. So the hotel was watching it. Not this guy. So why not this guy? I mean, not Rav Chana Bar Chanilai. So when I answer Shani Avra Dadasha, the door is different. The Kamisha Yichel like Karen Zavis told me that's similar to being Meyachar to Karen Zavis. When he hung it up in the door, that shows like they gave him, this is your door and under your responsibility. Fine. So Amalei Rav Hillel, right? We had this a bunch of blood ago. We had that Hillel that historically seemed to be, and right, and the Bach said it must be Rav Hillel and Amira, right? So Amalei Rav Hillel or Rav Ashi, right? And if they hung it, he's not allowed to take it. We said a shor, that the guy that fattens up the shor is a reo karagli kaladam. It goes at the feet of anybody, right? So why can't Reb Chana Bar Chani Lois also go with anything, right? Because meaning he had the hotel owner, right? It should be for anybody. So Amar Ravina Larashi Talula La Shakal, and if they hung it up, they can't be taken. Right? V'Amar Rabba Bar Chanan Reb Yechon Halacha Reb Daisa. The halacha is like Reb Daisa, which we also had a couple of lot ago. The Reb Daisa holds that when you give a part, when Reb Daisa's opinion was that when you give animals to the shepherd for Yom Tif, then it goes with the feet of the shepherd. Right? So if the hotel had in mind that the meat can go to Rav Chana Bar Chani Loy, so why can't it go, even if they hung up the meat, why can't it go with his feet? Some of the Rav Ashi Rav Kana, V'inu talu loy shakel, and if they hung it up, he can't take it. But it goes like the owners, right? So now why can't it go with Rav Chana Bar Chani Loy? Ella, so you say Shana Rav Chana Bar Chani Loy, the Gavra Rabbahu, not a Gemara does a total different teretz, right? Which is anytime it says Ella. Ella means it's a new teretz. Ella Shani Rav Chana Bar Chani Loy, the Gavra Rabbahu, v'tored b'shmaitze. He was a Gavra Rabba and he was very busy learning. Okay, so what? And this is what Rav Huna was telling him. If you hung it, is so that you'll know how exactly it was hung. So you're going to have a siman exactly how you hung it and what the meat looked like, and you're not going to see das from it, and therefore we're not going to be afraid that an animal came along and ate the meat and brought back new meat, which is what we call basar shenesalam in ayin, right? That's meat that nobody saw. So we're afraid that an animal, one of the more wild takanas of Chazal, that we're afraid a bird swooped in, took the meat that you left there, and came back with a treifa piece of meat and replaced it. So if he hung up, so Rav Huna is telling him, if you hung it up there, so it means you know what the piece looks like, and you'll be able to tell that it was not replaced. Right? So Zil Shkol, then you can go take it. Be inu talula. But if the people in the hotel hung it for you, so you're not going to know about it. So masachas daita v'loy sishkol. So you're going to be masiach das from it because you're busy learning, and you can't take it because you have no idea if it wasn't replaced. Right? So that's what he was telling him. He wasn't telling him anything about the techum.
But it could be anybody. It doesn't have to be an animal. It could be anybody who comes by and switches a sandwich. Isn't that why they double wrap food from various kosher places that need to be delivered to one's house?
So that's exactly what I wanted to discuss. There's two different inyanim here, right? The Velt says like what you're saying, doctor, which is that they think if you leave meat in your refrigerator alone, that's not basar shenesalam and ayin. There is no chashash of nesalam and ayin. It's not nesalam and ayin. It was locked away in the refrigerator. But if you have a goy in your house, then there's a concern that the guy might have wanted the meat and took it and then replaced it with a treifa meat, right? Or if you have a delivery boy, right? The Grubhub, what do you call those things? Grubhub, and all these type of things. So if it's not double sealed, so then we're afraid that the guy took it for themselves, not to try and be machshel you. They took it for themselves, and then they replaced it with a cheaper version or whatever it is. That's not basar shenesalam ayin. Most people, when they ask the shaila, they think it's basar shenesalam ayin. That's not a nesalam ayin issue. There's no concern that an animal took it. Nesalam ayin is if you leave your meat outside with nobody watching it, even if there's no guy around, then we're afraid. Right? Now here's the kicker. Okay, Rav holds basar shenesalam ayin is also, which is what our Gemara is saying. Shmuel is the one. Shmuel says that lechatchila you can't do it, but the eved, it's fine. Right? I think that's the way it goes. Or is it the opposite? Whatever it is, Sfardim Paskin, the Shulchan Aruch Paskins, that Pasach and Salmon Ayin, the meat is no good. The Ashkenazim, the Ramah is Mekel. And he says, yes, lechatchila, you have to be concerned and don't leave your meat outside by itself. But if you did, the food is good. Right? So anytime anybody asks of Shaila, Pasach and Salmon Ayin, if they're Ashkenazim, it's not a Shaila because it's a B'di'evet case. Somebody's asking about it. It's a B'di'evet case, and it's fine B'di'evet. We're talking about L'chatchila, right? So Rav says even B'di'evet, it's a problem, and which is the way the Mechaber paskins. But Shmuel says that B'di'evet, it's okay, which is the way the Ramah paskins. So it's one of those rare cases where Ashkenazim are more Mekel. Again, that's not when you leave a guy alone with meat. That's a different story. Leaving a guy alone with meat is a different story. It's not a Bashis and a Simon Ayin issue. It's a Nemanis issue with the guy. Right? Okay.
You gotta say the famous plane story now to just
Correct. And that famous plane story is a total neged halacha, that story. Totally neged halacha. Everybody loves to say that plane story where the guy got up and he had a pastrami sandwich or something, and he got up to wash, and then he got up to wash, and he comes back, and he decided not to eat it because he says he left it there without any supervision. So the guy asked him, why didn't you eat it? He says, because this is halach. He says, oh, how do you know? I took your meat and I replaced it with mine. It's a very nice story, but that's not the halach. Is that the guy could have eaten the sandwich perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. So I don't know if that ruins anybody's Judaism, but that's...
Parrots has that problem. People take the Kirkland Scotch and they give him a live at 18. He has to be very careful.
Yeah, that's...
Now, Tiago, you just ruined it. Now I got to tell the person that told me that he swears that his cousin was on the plane with the person. So I got to go find them and tell him that it's not true.
You could tell it. I didn't say the story's not true. It could be it's true, but just...
No, I'm saying the 8th person who swore that they were on the plane. That's what I got to tell them.
Yeah. You're just saying it's Lashon Hara on the person because they don't know the halacha, that's all. Anyway, okay. Yeah, fine. So it's like the Mishna. Yeah, and that's tonight. That was tonight's practical halacha. That mechir is chametz. Okay, so it's like the Mishna. Ein mashkin v'sheichten es hamidbarios. You're not allowed to give to drink, and you're not allowed to shecht wild animals. Right? Why? Because it's muksa. Right, you can't go out into the fields and take. As we've been learning throughout Be'ah, you have to have in mind which animals you're going to shech from before Yom Tov, so it's not muksa. So the wild animals you're not allowed to give them to drink, and you're not allowed to shech them. But the ones that are domesticated, that you're allowed to because you have those in mind. Okay, how do you know which ones are which? Eloim baisus. What are considered domesticated ones? Halonas be'ir. Those are the ones that sleep in the city. Right. Midbarios is and the wild ones is halonas be'efer, that they live out in the forests or whatever it is. They don't come back. So those you don't have in mind. You have no idea if they're going to be coming back or not on Yom. So it's like the Gemara.
Is that a different distinction than between behema and chaya? This means that even a chaya, if I own a chaya and it lives by me, that's still a behema. That's a baisis. Right? Or it means in general, things that live domesticated or things that live outside.
Right. So that's one of the definitions. I don't know if that's exactly the same definition here or not. Right. Okay. So Gemara says, "Lamali l'meir mashkin v'shoyten." Why does the Mishnah have to say you give it to drink and you shecht it? So my answer is milsa aga. I mean, what does the drinking have to do with anything? It's muksa. It's muksa. Right, so milsa agav orchei kamashmalan. It's coming to teach us something parenthetically. Yeah, the lishki inish behemtei v'had lishcha. A person should give his animal to drink and then shecht it. Because of it's going to be the sircha is like when the lungs have sirchas. It means it's going to stick to the skin. Meaning the skin is going to be very hard to get off of the meat if it's not hydrated. So you want to give it some liquid, and then that helps keep everything moisturized, and then therefore you're able to get the hide, the skins off of the basar. So fine. So Tanabana, now the Gemara has a Machlokes is exactly how you define domesticated or not. These are the ones that are the wild ones. And these are the ones that are domesticated. They go out Pesach time, and they live out in the fields. And they come back by the first rains, which is, Rashi says, in Cheshvan. They come back Cheshvan. So they go out for 7 months, and then they come back. I have no idea. I guess that's the way the animals work. They come back. This is without tracking devices, I'm assuming. Right, so you know they come back. And what are considered domesticated? They go and they graze outside the techum, and they come and they actually sleep inside the techum. Rabbi Omer, those are both considered biases. Those are domesticated because they both come home. What are midbarius? They go and they go out to graze in the fields, and they don't come into the yishuv. So Rabbi has a very strict interpretation of exactly what midbarius are. They pretty much don't ever come back to the city. But everything else, you would be able to shecht on Yom Tov. So what it says, Rebbe Muksa, does Rebbe hold a Muksa? I mean, Rebbe here is discussing the difference between domesticated animals, wild animals. That means he must hold the whole concept of Muksa. But we know that he doesn't. Rav Shimon bar Rebbe asked from Rebbe, Patzile Timra, Rav Shimon Mao, unripe dates. According to Rav Shimon, what's the din? Meaning, Rav Shimon, we know, does not hold a Muksa. Rabbi Yehuda holds a Muksa. According to Rav Shimon, what does he say about dates that are not ripe yet? Amrale, Ain Muksa Rav Shimon, on Talmud Beis now, there's no Muksa to Rav Shimon. El Lagroigers, it's Mukin Bavad. The only time Rav Shimon says something is Muksa is if you take the fruits and you biyadayim voluntarily make them dried out. Because basically what you're doing is these fruits really are edible, so they're not muksa. You decide to go dry them out, which makes them unedible, whichever, right? And Mameli, you biyadayim made them into muksa. But if they're just not ripe, that's not called making them muksa. They're just not ripe yet. So whatever it is, you see that Rebbe does not hold of muksa. So how could he be discussing the difference between domesticated animals and not domesticated animals? So Gemara gives 3 tirutzim. Putting them out in the field is like biyadayim, taking them and drying out fruits. Meaning, if you take your animals and let them run all over the world, so clearly you don't have in mind that you're going to be shechting them. Otherwise, why would you send them away? The same way that when you take fruits and you put it onto the roof to dry, you biyadayim are saying, I'm not eating these fruits now. So he's saying that's the same thing, meaning even Reb Shimon would be minded that there would be muksa. Or he's going according to Reb Shimon, but he doesn't hold of it, right? And he holds that they are muksa. He's on the other sheet is saying that he's going in the Rabbanan. According to me, there's no muksa. But according to you, holds a muksa. You should be minded to me that when they leave by Pesach and they come back only by the first rain 7 months later, the Baisis hang, that's considered Baisis because they're coming back. They do plan on coming back. Rabbanan said, Midbari is saying, no, they're Midbarias, and because they're out for 7 months out of the year, you can't call that Baisis, and therefore they are going to be Muksa. Okay, Hadran Lach Mashilim Peretz, the Slika is Shectimg Beitzah. We should be zeicher to finish many more Shechtas together.
Mazel tov.
L'chaim make a l'chaim on some seltzers.
Ravarin. Ravarin, special for you, Ravarin.
I see,
Special
Parrot,
for
yeah.
Ravarin.
Parrots, you should be ashamed of yourself, Parrots.
Al-Tidag. We're going with the 14.
Parrots, put it in a can, Parrots.
Very nice. Mazel tov, everybody.
Parrots.
Mazel tov.
Yeah.
Mazel tov.
Yeah.
By the way, I am having a steak if anybody's
Oh, we had steak for supper too. I had it before, yeah.
I had chicken. Look over the scene. Oh man.
Hey.
I saw.
Wow.
Yeah. Parrot's mommy's making a l'chaim.
L'chaim, mother.
Yeah.
Have you finished first?
What are you saying, Gershon?
There's another connection here between Beis Hamad Aleph and Mem Hamad Aleph.
Oh yeah.
First Hamad and last Hamad. It's the Rebbe. Whether Rebbe holds a Reb Shimon or not. The last Marsha in the Masechta connects them. It says it's not according to Reb Nachman on Beis Hamad Aleph. Beis Hamad Aleph, Reb Nachman says the Rebbe paskins like Reb Shimon by Shabbos and Rebbe Yehuda by Yom Tov.
Right. Oh, so you're saying
here this sugya is only not according to Reb Nachman. Marsha says.
Only according to Reb Nachman.
According to Reb Nachman, Rebbe holds like Reb Yehuda by Yom Tov. So this Shiloh wouldn't apply. What did he ask? They want to bring a raya from here, from this Gemara. The Reb Shimon bar Rebbe asked Rebbe, what does Reb Shimon hold by Muktzah? So the fact that he asked, what does Reb Shimon hold, is a raya. The Rebbe holds like Reb Shimon.
I hear. What's that? Marsha says this?
The Marsha says, according to Reb Nachman, it's not a raya. It can't be according to Reb Nachman.
Interesting. And what was the Marsha's point?
Well, it's a little problematic, according to Reb Nachman. The first Gemara in Beya was that Rabbi holds like Rabbi Yehuda by Muktzah, by Yom Tov. Rabbi holds the Muktzah by Yom Tov.
Right.
Here, his son's asking him, what's the halacha according to Reb Shimon? Who cares? They're asking like Rabbi Yehuda.
I hear. It's interesting. I got to look at the Marsha. I don't have a Gemara here at the Marsha.
It's a 4-line Marsha. It's the last one on the Masechta.
I hear. Very good.
Either way, that's 2 in a row that connects Beis Hamad Aleph to the last Amud.
That's good. Does the Marsha do that in other? I mean, he must try.
No, I don't know. But last time I connected, Rashi was the one that connected them.
Right.
All right, good to know. Thank you.
Good night, Simon.
Good night.
All right. You should make many more simchas and feel good doing it too.
Amen.
All right.
Good night to you.
Thank you, sir. Parrots, can I ask you a question, Shaila?
Yeah, hold on one second. Yeah, what's up?